All right. Promo time.
This week on the Adobe Video CHiNWAG, join us with special guest David Bull from LucidLink. Get ready to enter the matrix as cloud editing becomes a reality with the LucidLink platform. LucidLink gives you the ability to rapidly ingest high-res footage for immediate access anywhere. Perform video and post-production editing directly in the cloud. Provide remote access to large VFX shot sequences. And eliminate costly transfer services. LucidLink takes remote workflows to the next level. Work with team projects or productions, or simply store media and work seamlessly from the cloud. Your dailies and rushes are available and ready for your editors with sequenceable clips available immediately. You don't even have to download the whole media file.
I know Kung Fu.
Join us Thursday night on the Adobe Video CHiNWAG and get involved on Saturday for a LucidLink hands-on interactive demonstration. It's going to be a level up experience.
Show me.
Woo! Hey, welcome to the CHiNWAG, the Adobe Video CHiNWAG, episode 12. This is the final of the season. Season 1 is closing after this episode, but we do have an extra Saturday event. So for those of you who want to get your hands dirty for free, who doesn't want to do that? We will be having a very special register that will open up after this episode finishes going live, and we want you to promote, and get all your friends to jump on and get access to using LucidLink yourself, because this is not going to make sense until you touch it, and it's going to blow your mind. I have Jimmy Harmsworth back co-hosting.
Hello.
And we've got David
Happy
Bull.
12th episode, my son.
Thanks,
Happy
buddy.
12th episode. End of
you.
the season.
I know. You've gone a bit soft on your focus there. Don't know what's happened there.
Oh, have I?
While you figure that out, David Bull from
Say hi to
LucidLink,
Dave.
say hi.
Yes.
Hi, guys. Thank you. Congratulations on the 12th episode.
Thank you very much.
David.
Thank you.
We try. Now, last week we went over productions. We started to look at that, started to sort of touch and sort of talk about the way that it works and explain a little bit of the workings of how it does come together. And the thing is, it really only works in a collaborative way, which is only one way that you can use it. You certainly can use it on your own. But when you do want to start sharing the load of work, you have to have central storage. And, unless you're in that type of environment, you kind of get stuck in a position where you're having to mirror copies of files, and it just gets a little messy.
And over hard drives, it gets very dirty.
It's not the best. And so that really well positions us for where LucidLink comes in as a provider of access to a cloud storage that functions just like a NAS, a network attached storage, using the cloud in order to interact with it. Dave, could you give us a bit of an overview what that means from a files perspective? Because this isn't specific to Adobe. This is a file thing. Can you just give us a bit of an overview what it is?
Yeah, perfect. We are a file system, as you've highlighted. So we work with any type of data set in a manner that enables any use case that requires collaboration over distance, geographically separated users that need immediate access to work on projects and work in a manner that streams data from the cloud. The cloud has certain inherent challenges. Where the users are with the cloud, therefore we had to design around that and design a technology that enables users to be anywhere and access the data on demand and only draw the data that they require when they require it. So our approach is very unique. Typically, cloud storage is challenging to utilize. Cloud storage is cost effective. It's extremely scalable. However, getting applications to natively read or natively access and ingest the data is a challenge. If applications aren't written to work natively with cloud, it becomes very hard from a workflow perspective to have the users interact with the data that they require. So we've made it simple, very simple.
And how new is this technology? Has it been around a while, or the iteration of what LucidLink and the Lucid app is? How old is that?
We've been working on this for 5 years. So we're a 5-year organisation based out of San Francisco. We're worldwide presence, but a San Francisco founded company. My role is technical sales. I cover a worldwide responsibility for pre-sales, architect support. I am based here in Melbourne, so we are a worldwide distributed team ourselves, using our own technology in order to collaborate and work over the distances that we work on. But 5 years we were founded and incorporated. So we've got a fairly good head start on building a technology that right now is more and more relevant in the way people are operating.
Absolutely. And I was going to say, as a part of that architecture, was there a lot of consulting that you guys did with the video production industry in particular, or was this just a generalist platform for database management?
It came naturally to video, to audio, given the way we approached breaking the data up to make it easy to move the data around to where the users need to access it. But our approach is general. We work across server-side applications, containers, any environment that would benefit from having access or immediate access to infinite amount of cloud object storage.
Mm-hmm.
So it just so happens that from a productivity perspective, the media and entertainment, the CAD/CAM, architectural engineering workflows suit us perfectly, and have had these challenges for a long time, way before the pandemic and the current work from home situation. People were trying to move assets around from, let's say, from a production shoot, being able to bring the data to a centralized post-production workflow, and then even collaborate with other third-party contractors for audio or video effects. That's been a typical problem that people have had for decades in that space, shooting video out somewhere and having to courier hard drives around, or move data around in a push-pull manner of push the file up, pull the file down, work on it, changes, push the file entirely back up, someone else takes over, pulls the file down. So we decided to build a system that enabled the data to be hosted as a single source of truth in the cloud. And as each person needs to touch it, they're only touching the portion that they require as part of the workflow.
And it works.
Oh, yeah.
I've only, as of last week, I was introduced. Cheers.
Cheers to that.
To productions, which I had only very limited scale of knowledge on, because I had not needed to actually use it. And in that single week since we did last week's episode, I have jumped into productions and found it to be an amazing piece of scalable infrastructure to the Premiere platform for managing assets and keeping those project files to a very marginal scale, so that they can be communicated easily, opened very easily, and worked on very easily. Right. We then plugged that into LucidLink. You very kindly gave us access to a LucidLink workspace, and we started pushing files up and pulling them back down. And within 3 days, I was just scratching my head going, I can't believe I'm working from the cloud. That's right. I pushed up some documentary footage. I pushed up red footage, which was, all 5-6 gigabytes worth of stuff with proxy files attached, obviously, because that's how you'd be working remotely. You wouldn't be expecting people, obviously, to work with master media, but I was just testing it out. And seamlessly, it was right in front of my eyes. I mean, I have my productions link open right now in front of me, and I'm looking at stuff that's all living in the cloud, and I can play it on my timeline. So my brain sort of exploded a little bit. And I know that people watching this are going to say, how is this possible? So maybe we jump into some demo. I'm not sure where Jon wants to take this, but I myself personally, as being an editor who has dealt with pushing and pulling files, sending hard drives and stuff, this is like the ultimate game changer for me. So yes.
That's
So
great.
before we start doing some screen share and some demo, I've just posted in both the live chat on the YouTube and the live chat on the Facebook streams a link to register. So we need your details in order for you to get access
bring it
to
on.
it. This
demo will
Saturday,
be cool.
this Saturday morning between 9:30 and 11, we're going to do a live stream again, but we want you to join in and have access to the Lucid app and then a login. So we need your details in order for you to get access to the login. Once you've got the login, you could jump in and start playing around with us, and we can just work together as a support network. So everyone can start to push and pull it in so many different ways, because it is a file system. You can literally be doing anything that you want on there, and it will operate just like central storage, although we're all in different locations. So having said that, jump on that link, register, and you'll be able to join in on the Saturday.
Cool. It's going to be, share it around.
Share it around.
You're going to realize that it's like all of a sudden you're opening a virtual drive from the cloud, and you can open stuff and you'll play with it in Premiere, and it's like you're all working off the same clips, but you're all making different edits. And
That's right.
yeah, it's just it's just a next level experience. And for me, I was like, oh geez, I imagine doing audio with this stuff, because video is a lot harder to push around than audio is. You could be doing multi-session, tracking of a live band. You could have a drummer in one state, and you could have a bass player in another state, and you could be all doing this like literally near live, where drummer finishes his take, bass player does their take, and it just appears, and then you've got your audio mixer in Melbourne in another state, and he's starting to do the mix. It's ridiculous. Like it's that crazy.
All right. Well, let's take a look at the screen here. So I've got my good old remote machine here that I'm jumping in on, just because I can't do the streams and the running the software all at the same time through one machine. So be kind if you see this tear a little bit as far as the vision goes. Now, this is a project that Jimmy put up last night, was it? You put up last night?
Yesterday, yep.
Okay, cool. And the files that are on here are, let's take a look at the settings here. So we've got some red raw files. One of the files is 2.34 gig, and I assume the other one is about the same size. About the same. Right? Yeah. So we're looking at nearly 5 gigabytes of content. And then you've got the raw with proxies as well. So we look at the proxies. Now they're much smaller. That one's only 19 meg or 18 and a half. So that's much smaller. But end to end, this project, and if we go and find the project, which is this one here, and reveal in Explorer, if I go back a step, and by the way, Lucid is just loading on my Windows machine as a drive, letter L. What does it look like on your end when you open it up? It just looks like a drive.
At my end, it just pops up as a drive underneath my SSD array. Yep. Cool. So it just says CHiNWAG, because I mounted at the CHiNWAG point. I didn't mount it at the root point. So you can actually mount it at different levels. And David set us up at a few different levels. So I just mounted the CHiNWAG thing, and boom, there it was.
So you can see here, I'll just zoom in on this and try and hover my mouse over it again. You'll see there's 15.4 gigabytes of stuff in that folder. Now, if we were working in a traditional way of being remote, all of those files would have to come back, right? So all that 15 gigabytes I'd have to sync for me to be able to start working with it.
Bring it back in.
Right. And then I need 15 gigabytes of space on my machine somewhere on an external drive or whatever. I've got to hook all that up. Whereas this uses a cache that is elastic. David, could you just give a very dumbed down understanding of how that works? So when we're editing, we've got big files and we're like, but what does it do if it's running out? Now, for example, let me just preface this. The settings that we've got, I'll just go back to my screen and I'll just show you here the settings that we're using. If we go into the control panel, and you can walk us through this a bit, 5 gigabytes local cache, okay?
That's right.
But this is a 15 gigabyte folder of stuff. Like, how does that work?
What?
So what we've done, and you touch on a couple of points around the operating environments. We wanted to make this as simple as possible for any application, whether that be on Windows, Mac, or Linux, servers, desktops, virtual machines, virtual desktop infrastructures, to see the file system as if it's a local extension of their operating environment. So keep it as simple as possible that any application just sees it as a native drive. And as Jimmy highlighted, tell applications exactly where they need to mount if there's existing asset linking that needs to happen across the data set, but make it as simple as possible. The way we operate is we break that data down. So we break the data down into a manner that makes streaming from the cloud easy. You can't do traditional legacy file systems over wide area networks. They were designed for local area networks. They were designed in the 1980s for low latency environments, Windows for Workgroups, 3.1, those sorts of things.
Spreadsheets.
Spreadsheets, exactly. When you stretch distance, you have a challenge of latency. So what we designed was a way that leverages a local cache, a small portion of the local drive as a buffer that draws from the cloud the storage that's required, retains the storage that's required as active. So let's say if you've got an asset of 15 gig worth of artifacts, but you're only ever working on 2 to 5 to 4 gigabytes of data. Well, that's constantly coming in and out through the cache and drawing more down into the cache, evacuating changes back up to the object store from the cache. So we can work off a very small amount of storage local, but present you a file system in terabytes to petabytes.
And that was, I did open the thing before, and I had to show my missus, who was my producer and one of the co-directors of our company. And I said, look at this number. It says 1.13 petabytes available. And she was like, PB, what is that? And I'm like, that is a very, very large amount of data. And she was like, oh, okay. And then it's at that point, which, to refer back to our promo from this week, I feel like Tank, the operator from The Matrix, where all of a sudden I'm just feeding information to multiple places, because being a post supervisor, I would be feeding information into this and then expecting editors to be reading it from wherever they are and being able to access it immediately. And John said before, I uploaded this project yesterday. I pushed 10 gig up and had proxies with it. I did a full, just so the audience knows, what I did was I ingested footage from my local system into a new project, which pushed stuff into the LucidLink cloud because of the ingest process. So I'd set up the ingest to basically copy the source media and then create proxies and push it all into the LucidLink space that we'd set up. It did all of that. And John literally opened the project that was set up in that cloud, and there was no relinking. It just opened. So it was like we were in the same room together on the same storage system, and then boom, it just worked. So
yeah, there was like a split second where I saw the media offline red picture, but then it went away straight away. So if you're trying to share files that you need to work off, you have to usually share and download that entire file before the editor on the other side can start editing with it. You might receive the project changes and the container for that clip and whatever effects and decisions on where the clip is being used, but you don't get to see any frames yet or hear any audio yet, because you've got to wait till that entire file has finished synchronizing. This doesn't need that. And something that this, I'm just thinking about the sort of the kind of footprint this leaves as far as like how much data and therefore energy is required to constantly sort of pull everything down, and you might only use a section of it. So I guess that's something to be a little bit conscious of as well. Maybe that was not part of the plan.
I mean, there is going to be a lot of, but like you are going to need a very good internet connection that's going to have some data attached to it, because you are going to be pushing and pulling a lot of data. And what was the term that you used, John, or was it David, who said that the it's elastic? So you are pulling out sections of files that might be very, very large, but then you're moving around that timeline and you are pushing and pulling data. So there is going to be a lot of to and fro, and your internet connection is going to be crucial in this particular game. But, you know, hopefully very soon internet connections aren't going to be too much of a factor, given that they're hopefully not going to be too expensive to have a good one. Not so much of an issue in many other countries, but once if that is not a factor, then it is like real editing off a hard drive that is sitting next to your computer, and that's something that I'm trying. I've spoken to a few people about this in the last couple of days, where they're like, "How does this? Is it the same?" And I'm like, "It feels the same to me. It's like it feels like I just plugged in a little Seagate 1 terabyte drive into my USB port." And I've just started editing off it. That's what it feels like. And they're just like,
yeah,
it's
crazy.
Cool.
All right, well, let's jump back on the screen and have a look. So there's a few settings that I've changed here. And that's just because I wanted to limit my download and upload rates very low based on what we're doing here. There's a lot of streaming going on.
You're streaming as well, yes.
I'm streaming 2 sets of stream. I've got another stream that's going out to you guys, and that you guys are coming down as well. So there's a lot going on, and I don't have the greatest internet in the world. So if we start doing some stuff here and it starts to break up a bit, that's why there's physics involved. There's only so much mathematics that can work, and who's in line first and who's going to grab what part of the pipe. But anyway,
I'm not going to make the golf ball through a garden hose joke.
There you go.
Cool.
Okay.
So yeah, this loads up like an actual drive. Now the thing is, everything that's in here, even though there's 15 gig, I'm only actually accessing at any point in time from whatever I've got open in this 5 gig. And then because it's elastic, it means it can sort of push and pull what it needs. And it will stay working with the cache if that's the only area that I work in. If I'm only working around that particular 5 gig worth that's already cached down, and it's not caching the entire file, is it, Dave? It caches a chunk of it, not the whole thing.
That's right. We present the metadata as if the file system is whole to the operating environment. However, we break it down so that what's in the cache is only what you've needed to stream. So as you've seeked through tracks in your timeline or sections of your timeline, if you've skipped over or passed over areas, we haven't drawn that down. Right. If you've played it in entirety and traversed over it, of course, we've drawn that
here
down.
We go. Yeah, so here, you'll see here, it says media offline.
So you'll see it here. So yeah,
I'll try to refresh it.
Shout out to my boys. Shout out to my boys in Malice's Wake Metal Band. That was a film clip that we did a couple of years ago. Just thought I'd use the red footage on that one. But this is cool. This is where we were playing with it this afternoon, where I uploaded this yesterday. It was a trailer for a doco that I was working on. I did proxies. There was already small files. So it was the media from the camera. It was a 7D DSLR production. Right. I then made proxies, which are even smaller. And if you're working with proxies that are like 18 megabytes each, you are never going to touch the sides of your 5 gig elastic storage at all. And so really the buffering side of things is not even going to be an issue, because if you can watch 3 YouTube videos at the same time on your computer, which most people can do, not that I'm suggesting you do that, then you will have no problem putting this together.
Yeah. Now, and keep in mind also that the 5 gig is the default. That can be resized, and that can be also located on a medium within your system, solid state or flash.
Yeah, so we could push that to an SSD if we wanted to.
That's exactly right. You could relocate that to an SSD, and you could raise it to, let's say, a terabyte.
Yeah. And
operate within that.
Yeah.
As a
so that's awesome. So again, it's pulling stuff. So let's say you have a dedicated SSD. I've got a Blackmagic multi-dock here. I've got a ton of SSDs that I plug into it, usually for local projects that then get pushed to my nearline storage. I've got 480 to a terabyte on each of those solid states. I could just have a single project co-located and then have LucidLink just throwing to that. But again, if one of those, let's say I accidentally pulled one out, does it go, I mean, how does that local drive then make up for that? So does it go, that SSD that I've LucidLinked my drive, my allocated space to, does it freak out if it unmounts?
The authoritative copy is the object.
There it is. It's there now. So there's
The
a couple of
authoritative copy is I was just going to answer,
Sorry.
Jimmy, your question. The authoritative copy is the object store. The cache is required. You don't want to pull out the drive that's got the cache.
Yep.
That's where the user experience is.
Okay.
You know,
But if something happened, I had a power outage and I didn't have my UPS there.
the cloud and the redundancy around the cloud architecture of multiple copies in the region and redundancy of the actual object store.
Yeah.
The data is in the cloud.
Yeah.
The authoritative data is in the cloud. Anything that happens on your local machine is residual unless you haven't pushed it up to the object.
Gotcha.
Right.
So I made a save and then it was there, but then accidentally the bloody thing turned off or it got kicked out or there was a power outage and I lost my solid states. It then just requires me to obviously reopen the project, reconnect that media. It will then do its caching again. And then we're back to square one, but not square one. We've still got our save data there, so we really haven't lost anything.
It'd have to be hardware failure. Once you put that drive back in and reconnect to the file system and we see the cache, what is remaining to be uploaded and committed to the object store will resume.
Oh, okay. So, okay.
You have to hit that solid state drive with a hammer.
You've reconnected it, and but she's reconnected, and then boom, it's actually back there. That stuff that it's hard cached from the cloud is still it's maintained. Its integrity is still there. Okay, that's amazing. I just learned something on that. So that's even cooler because I thought if that drive became disconnected, then you lose everything really. But you haven't. It's like almost a hard storage.
What's committed to the cache will be there, but you'll need to plug back in and reconnect for that to sync up to the cloud. Everything has to go to the source of truth, the cloud. But Jimmy, don't unplug your cache.
Yeah, no. I'm one of those guys that's like, what happens if it comes out? Because I've always got 3 backups of my thing locally because I know on delivery day something's going to go wrong. That's just me as an editor. I always know that when it comes time to deliver those master files, something's going to go wrong, and then I have to have some nearline, close line, solid state backup of something that I can plug in when something goes wrong that I can go, right, reconnect, quick, I need to re-render or we're good or, that's just the way I think. But yeah, that's amazing. Yeah.
Cool. So while you guys were chatting, I just waited for the project to load and then locate all the files and whatever. And then it just bang, it opened. It took like maybe 3 or 4 seconds after opening that. Then all the cuts from the entire sequence were live, ready to go. And then I started scrubbing and they were ready to go. I did a match frame and played that clip straight away in the source monitor. That went straight away. This is so cool. Now there's a couple questions that have popped up here. What about when, so someone is asking, they usually watch the media before they start working on it. So how does that work? And I know how this works. It works the same. So it doesn't matter. This is file based. So if you're using VLC or whatever, or you're even using, let's say you're on a Mac and you just want to hit the space bar and let that go, or you're using the plugin Quick Look on Windows 10 that allows you to do the same thing. When you jump the playhead to another point, it just grabs the blocks of that clip down and then it's ready to play. And because it's only grabbing smaller blocks, they come down quick, not bringing the whole file down. It's so
this
cool.
Looks like a drive on your computer.
It functions exactly the same.
That's what it looks like.
Exactly the same.
And to highlight, if you play the file beforehand, you've traversed the file. Therefore, you've ingested and warmed the cache. So when you begin actually
warming the cache.
When you begin working on it, you're operating out of your cache as long as it fits within the parameters of the size of your cache.
Yeah.
Otherwise,
I did this
in the cloud.
That's cool.
Yeah. So that doco that John was just showing you, I shot some time ago in China. It was a DSLR project that I did, but I pushed up I had a trailer going for it, but then I re-encoded all of the master files from that particular timeline and then pushed up proxies as well. So I had it copy and create proxies to the cloud. And then with the project file, which it puts into the cloud when you media manage the particular project, I just said to John, it's there, open it. Tell me what you think. And he had a screen share with me this afternoon. He opened it and boom, it was in front of him. I've not experienced that before. Like normally it's like, I'll call you in an hour when I've downloaded the footage or whatever. I just pushed it up. He clicked on the project file. It opened. There was no relinking involved at all. It just opened in front of him. So my brain kind of went, "Ooh, geez, did that really just happen?" You have one of those, bullet time moments where it's like, you move like they do. I've never seen anyone move that fast.
It's very cool. Very cool.
It was really just crazy.
So what we'll do,
it's a new thing.
Let's do something here. So I have pre-created. Oh, hang on. There's one more question before we move on.
Do you want to do the audition one? What are you doing? Sorry.
Yeah, we'll do the audition one.
Oh, yeah.
What about security? If someone's on an NDA job, for example, or a feature film lockdown, like how does that work? I think there's probably a more refined version of what that question means, and you compare it to any other way that you would be working, as far as that works. So you want to just have a little description of the way that works for us, Dave?
Yeah, that'd be great. That's a very good question. And we took that as a primary goal in our architecture, to ensure that the data is encrypted on the client side with end-to-end encryption, that only the user or the client has the keys. So everything before it leaves the LucidLink app on Windows, Mac, or Linux, before it leaves the cache and traverses or travels across the internet, it is already encrypted. While it is sitting in the object storage provider, even though they're multi-tenant providers, owned by organizations, the data is encrypted. The data is in a layout that only the people that have access to the file system through their credentials can access that data.
Which is really, really good to know, because often there is that concern that, I put a lot of files up onto Creative Cloud, and sometimes, no offense Adobe, that I go, well, what if accidentally something got a bit loose here and some login details got shared, and can they just download my stuff if they've got access?
That's right, and that's what you got to ask yourself with the typical, I call them legacy enterprise sync and share technologies, where they'll present you a thumbnail of your data. It'll be the first page. It'll be the first portion of the footage. There may not be a human at the other end watching the footage or reading the document, but there's an algorithm producing that thumbnail. It's encrypted at rest at the server level, but it's server-side encryption, not client-side encryption. The vendor knows what the data is. We have a zero knowledge approach to your data. It is your data. You own the keys. You control it. You host it in the object storage provider of your choice in your account, and you use the file system with all of your applications to collaborate.
Right. So it's just the same as a file system that is central storage or whatever. I mean, access comes through. You have to have the app. You have to have the right login, the login details in order to then access it and see it. So let's say they decide, look, you know what, this job's done, or that person, we no longer want that person to have access anymore. If you were to take them off the list, what does that look like next time they boot up their machine?
Remove access. So we work in a model that you can set up from a contractor perspective or an employee perspective. You can assign shares or assign groups of users to shares. When you remove, revoke, or promote from read write to read only, or read only to read write, or remove entirely the shared access, have no access.
And so their block level cache that's on their system is absolutely useless at that point.
Also encrypted. Everything is encrypted. So even if you lose that laptop, it's a burner. You go to Officeworks or your computer shop, you grab another laptop, you install the LucidLink client, you connect, and that's it. You resume where you left off. So no more leaving a laptop at Qantas Club.
I was going to say Hunter Biden could have come in handy. This might have come in handy for him.
That's right.
Sorry to get political there.
So, of course, everything is encrypted end to end. The moment the app is closed and the mount point is removed from the file space, from the user space, there is no access to the data without the credentials.
Absolutely.
Cool. All right. Well, we can play around with that maybe on the Saturday. All right, let's go back to my screen. We're getting closer to the 8 o'clock time here, so
I was just
we're
going to
probably
say,
going to
I'm
go a
jumping
little.
into my.
Yeah,
We
we're
might
probably
go
going to go a little
over.
bit
I'm going to
over.
jump into the session. I'm going to go into the multi-track audio session, dude. You do what you want, and then we
Cool.
can jump into mine.
Okay, so here's the scenario. This is what we're going to do. Okay, we've got a production that we've got running in the cloud or through the cloud like this, and there's a voiceover only project. Now I'm going to open that project, and you'll see that it says here project locked HAL. Now I'll just zoom in there. You can see the HAL there. And when that's open and I have control, I can see that in the bottom left corner of that panel for that project, the project is writable with a green pencil or a green pen, right? I click on that and now I've locked myself out, which means I don't have control anymore. It's open, but no one has control because there's no name. Now, Jimmy's going to open this in his own time after he's done a recording inside of Audition. Now, before, well, if you were watching, I actually opened up a blank Audition session. And then when it's ready, that output will go into the voiceover only, and then I'll refresh it, and then I'll go back and I'll check what the recording was like in the Audition session, which means we're crossing between different apps. And we're just moving files around, just like you would if you were using central storage and you got people working just in the same facility, hardline connected, but we're doing it all remote. So whereabouts are you on your voiceover there?
I'm sitting here with my voiceover ready to go. So I've opened what I've done is opened the session.
Cool.
And I want to choose where my recording is actually going in this particular session because it's actually, hang on. I think I'm having your problems at the moment, mate, because she's telling me that I can't let me go to stereo. That would be the right option.
Oh, you got to set up your input.
I need to put up my inputs, but when I'm recording into my session here, I'm just making sure that my actual sound card isn't conflicting with what's happening here. So stand by. Yep. So we're getting audio coming in. And as I'm recording this, I am just basically set. This is saving to the session that's happening in the cloud. This isn't a local file. It's just in the cloud.
Right.
So then I'm going to put that into the multi-track and you can see it there. What I'm going to do is then save that. Here we go.
Okay. So, all right. I see there's a recorded bin already.
Yep.
VO track 02.
So when I save the VO track, I'm going to call it VO track. Make sure that that's in the same area that we have our VOs. CHiNWAG recorded, VO track 02. This is going to be called VO track live because that's the live one that I just did.
All right. So where are you saving that? Because I'm going to see how quickly this
same
refreshes.
spot as the VO
imported
track.
files. Here we go.
Yep.
Something in there.
So you should be able to see that now. So you go in there.
Oh, there we go, live. Yeah, sweet.
So I just made that VO track live. It's made it also would have, it's got all the metadata tracks and files associated if I put markers and stuff in as well. Cool. So you should be able to bring that straight in.
So if I open the session, the audition session, will that show your recording in there?
It should. Yes, it should.
So you've already saved it?
So that's saved. Yep. And that should be ready to rock and roll.
All right. Well, let me open it now. All right, so we've got audition open, bada bing, bada bong, and there's your recording.
There it is right there.
Cool.
So that's literally we just did that like just then.
Just then. Okay.
How crazy
this is pretty cool. This is pretty cool. Okay, so I'm going to close that. Now, have you added that clip into the voiceover only project?
I have
in Premiere. Okay, can you please do that, and we'll see what this looks like.
I can do that. Here we go. Importing media now. Let me just find my assets, VO, recorded, VO track live.
All right, we're just going to watch the master at work. Okay, so I'll go back to my screen and we'll see that. Have you opened the VO only project?
Stand by. Sorry, I had, it had the red lock and I've just had to enable that.
Click on that lock to unlock it for yourself.
VO track live saved. I've now locked it back again.
There we go. Now I just got a little icon here to say that's been updated. You need to refresh. Okie doke.
Yep.
So let me go in there and use the refresh project function, and bada bing, bada boom. There's the
Yeah,
voiceover.
track live. So I literally, like, what do? I just made a voiceover recording then. I just put it in a session. You opened the session, saw it in the session. I've brought it into this particular project, the VO project, in the Premiere production window. I've saved it, sent it up, and you've seen it. I've unlocked and locked the track. So then you have now access to it and you can bring it in. How amazing is that shit?
That's pretty amazing. So one other thing I want us to sort of see here, let me go back to my screen, is when using something like this in sync, in lockstep with the way Productions allows you to split the workload out. If you open up the JB underscore story edit, Jimmy.
Yep.
So no one's got that open just yet because it's a hollow outline for that project. Tell us when you've got it open. All right. So because we're streaming, this happened instantly. But because we're streaming, I've probably got a little bit of a lag going on here. So if I was to try and open that up, it'll say, oh, no, Jimmy's got it. There we go. So now we can see it. I've got it open, but it's locked and Jimmy owns it. It also
and then I can lock
it
it
here.
So I can give you back control. So if I click on that right now,
right. So if you let that go,
I've relinquished it.
Right. Okay, cool. So that's actually gone and refreshed straight away. Your name's no longer part of the name next to who owns that particular project. And if I was to then hit the lock, I now have to reload whatever changes in there.
And I can see Hal has jumped on.
I've got it. And now you can see the Hal bit. Yeah. This is insane. This is so cool. And we're doing this with very limited bandwidth.
Straight from the cloud. It's all just happening right in front of us.
It has to be seen and touched to be believed, honestly. Go to the registration link, sign up. Yeah. It's this Saturday. It's 9:30 till 11 o'clock. We might go a bit longer. Who knows? It's an experiment to try and see how this works on a Saturday, which would be a Friday afternoon, evening for any American friends you've got out there that are interested. Share the link. So again, go in, look at the live stream. The link is just there. You should be able to click on it from the live chat in either the YouTube or the Facebook. There's a question here from Kath. Can I share files from different apps?
Different apps. You can share it from anywhere. This is like having a drive on your computer.
There's no difference, except the difference is I'm in Sunbury, which is what, 40 clicks out of Melbourne. Jimmy, where are you?
I'm in Yarraville.
Yep. So you're like 2 clicks out of Melbourne.
2 clicks out of Melbourne, and we're 40 k's away from each other, and we're not seeing any. The server that we're working from is in South Melbourne. David, is that right?
Yeah, approximately, yes.
Yeah, right. So
Microsoft
server in South Melbourne somewhere, secretly underground in a bunker. But there's been it literally without. And I'm not gonna lie. It's just happens. There's no. It's not even seconds. It just sort of. I do something, it appears. John does something, it appears, and we just keep working like we were working in the same room of a shared storage system.
Yeah, that's right. Super cool. So, all right.
So jump on that and see if you can get involved on Saturday, because just to see if it works and how it's working, and just to get your head around it, because I know that I get asked these questions a fair bit about does that really work that way? And look, it's all new for everybody, but it is a brave new world that we're living in this sense. So having your hands on the tools to see how it works will give you the ability to say, hey, well, this could be an option for us, and maybe we should be exploring this.
Yeah, absolutely. Knowledge is power. So this is an opportunity to access a free hands-on bucket of storage where we can start pushing and pulling some stuff up there. Keep it relatively, PG rated, the content you put up there, please. But you know what I mean? Like this is This is free, hands-on. You get to see whether or not this works for you, the potential value of having something like this. And there might only be certain jobs where this makes sense. This is the way to do it. You try to cost out alternative ways of doing it, and it just doesn't make sense. So
absolutely.
Yeah.
And I would say look into the costing of it all. It's all, pretty transparent. So you just need to work out, well, what would my project cost if I was going to do this remotely and send hard drives state to state to state to keep this going? Or do we do it this way? And have a look at those, have a look at the numbers. And I think you'd be quietly surprised that you'd be probably saving a fair penny if you're going to do it the cloud way. You, yes, have the burden of time for uploading it initially, but then once you're there, then there is the cost saving on that time, because everybody has access.
Even that, Dave, is that quicker usually? Because you do some pretty smart things to kind of compact the file and get it up.
We do some very smart things. So we encrypt the data and compress the data, but then also break it down and utilize whatever internet connectivity you've got. We'll saturate, if need be, the link. So as fast as you can give us bandwidth, we'll utilize it if need be. You throttled yours, John, which was a wise move from some of the things that you were doing on our Melbourne-based NBN connections, consumer grade connections. But yeah, we can move a lot of data around very quick. The file system is meant to be collaborated on with multiple users across different applications. So by all means, on Saturday, try different applications, different data sets. We're there to walk you through the features, functions, and the capabilities. But of course, it's going to be your data, your testing, your user experience.
So yeah, share. Get on Twitter, get on
board.
Instagram, wherever you've got people that you think this might make sense for them to touch. You don't have to show up at 9:30. You can come in at 10. It doesn't matter. You can come in at 10:30. It doesn't matter. We just need your details in the registration just so we can share you the login details, because we can't just, put that out in the public. That would be kind of crazy. But, we do want the more the merrier, but we just want to make sure that people that get access are the ones that are actually going to test it properly and for the right reasons. So, yeah, hit us up on the comments section of this video. These videos are going straight out as replay, and yeah, just you got any questions, preempt them then, and we can start looking at stuff on Saturday and doing it live and treat it like a workshop.
Absolutely. And I just want to say thank you, David, for joining us. It has been a pleasure and eye-opening, and it's exciting. This is exciting.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me. Excellent.
I'll second that. Thank you, David, for showing up. And Jimmy, thanks for playing around with doing the tech with me earlier today. And then today, I mean, this just worked. It fine.
Just works, man. Like, yeah, it's just it's one of those things that you don't experience until you play with it. You just like, is this going to work? And when it does, you know, it's just next level. So yeah.
Crazy.
Appreciate it.
Have you got any music to play us out?
Do I? Oh,
of course you do.
Of course you do. Fire something up for you. Thank you. End of the season.
End of the season. We're going to have a little hiatus. We'll come back second season.
Take a break.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for being a part of it. 12 episodes. John, Al, Paul,
Jude,
Julian, Jude, Naomi,
the whole team,
and all of our guests for being here with us. It's been amazing.
All right. Well, let's see you all Saturday, and we'll catch you after we come back in season 2 sometime in late November, early December. We'll let you know.
We'll see you then.
Ciao, ciao.